The Real Estate Show continues here on KMED, February 27th of 2016. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett, the real estate guys, with you. We're both real estate brokers with John L. Scott in Southern Oregon, and we get together with you once a week here on KMED and talk about all sorts of real estate-related issues. And 6.5 years or 6 years later, we continue to learn about this real estate market. We've gone from the depths of despair to what is certainly a seller's market today, with low inventories out there, prices rising a little bit. Demand is pretty strong around. So all in all, things are it depends if you buy, sell, or rent. I understand that, but it's other than that, it's pretty good.
8 years in, this is the only market I've ever known. So I guess that's just the way it's always going to be.
Yeah.
It's off the cliff, and here we come back.
Well, Guy Giles is our resident mortgage expert here on the Real Estate Show, and Guy's joined us today. Nice to see you here at end of February. Yeah.
Wow, I just had to open the window. It's a nice day.
Beautiful
I'm happy
day.
to be here.
A little warm in the studio.
Anyway, how are you doing? What's I still just have interest rates every time you expect, everybody expects them to rise, and they've gone the opposite direction. What in the world's going on? What do you think?
Man, I think we're good for a little while. I mean, my first little alert that came over my cell phone this morning was about China being down 5%. It is just amazing. I think we're going to have really good rates. I've been saying this for a little while. I didn't really think the Fed ought to do kind of what they talked about doing a little while back, but they tried it, and I think they're backpedaling some now. So I don't know. We're just every time I think we're low, the rates just drop again.
So, all right, what are you clients that come to see you? What kind of rates are you talking about with folks?
Government stuff, really low twos, and I'm not talking about
low
paying
twos. What?
Pardon me, three.
Twos?
Whoa! All right, I'll be in jail in a half hour. I didn't mean that.
I want one of those. I want one of those.
We're going to refinance.
That's a 3-year arm. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So anyway, the low threes. Good thing I don't do this thing for a living.
Yeah.
I wonder why all my
low
clients
threes.
walk out happy if I'm quoting them those rates.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like on the VA or FHA, USDA programs like that, low threes without paying points. And when I say points, you can just kind of take that word, throw it right out the window, put the word percent in there. So if you're paying a point on a $200,000 house, that's $2,000 fee that you're getting to take that rate. And you only really want to pay that if you're going to be in that loan long enough for that to make sense. So, if you're going to buy a house, have it for 2 years, that's going to be your fixer-upper, but it takes, for having a lower rate, 4.5 years to pay that back by having, saving $30 a month, then the math just doesn't make sense.
That's why I don't do that, because math has that in there, that particular component of
that's why we have
that.
Calculators in our phone.
Go
everywhere with us.
30-year fixed rates, where are they at?
Well, I usually say high threes, but I would say mid-high threes right now, because it's a little closer to the 3.625.
Right.
And all this depends on your, I can't really quote a rate because there's a lot of things that go into that.
But still, 3.6. I did have a rate though on my variable rate mortgage. That adjusts every 6 months. That has been in the 2.5% for years. It's now 3.125. It went from 2.75 up. Yeah, it's not
too bad.
I
Jeez,
didn't like
that's
that.
Tough.
Thankfully, there was some caps on those things, so usually they can't go up too fast. So,
Even that's what scares me if it ever does that. But anyway, but rates are generally pretty good, Joe. That's no way.
Quick, big picture, small picture question: should I be happy for China's struggles, keeping our interest rates low here? Should I be terrified of China's struggles and the collapse of the world economic market, or is it somewhere in between or both?
I think that we're,
because that's
Well,
okay.
Realistically, our economy and our markets don't look super pretty, but the good news is we're better looking than most of the markets around the world. So, thankfully, as long as we don't add too much, too many more. I don't want to use the word entitlement.
The European Union's not doing great.
They
China's
changed.
not doing great. I mean, those are big factors in what eventually trickles down to the Rogue Valley.
Okay, but what's happening with that? Think about that one. It's foreign buyers coming in. Even the real estate forms changed on January 1, adding some clauses because of the increase, I think due to the increase of foreign buyers and the kinds of things you have to do now to do that. Cheryl Malone is a broker with Windermere here in the Medford area and has been on our show before and has joined us also as she sits there and talks about the market. Cheryl, nice to see you. How are you? Do you need to talk right into that thing? How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
We're good. What's going on with you here in the end of February? Pretty busy? What's going on? Tell us.
Oh yeah, lots of people relocating to the area and wanting to get into the market now because they hear prices are going up and interest rates are still great. So creating a lot of activity.
What in what area are you seeing? I mean, we look at the market itself has got all sorts of variations within it, right? I mean, if you're in the $1 million range, is one thing. If you're in $150,000-$200,000 range, you're in a totally different market, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of the people that I'm getting are relocating here from to retire, and you're probably in the $200,000 to $500,000 range. Not a lot of first time buyers that I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm. So you're seeing the influx of the retirees.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, we're certainly seeing that.
It's time. Yeah.
You think?
I also think that's, I didn't even mean that whole market watch thing at the beginning of this to be an intro to real estate. But, I was talking to a guy I had this afternoon, and literally, where are you going to put your money if this thing kind of crashes a little bit more? And because there's so much money flowing in from other states into our, and obviously I'm not a financial advisor, so if some things crash again, don't come back and hunt me down. But I think real estate is a really good place for people to kind of drop some money right now.
Yeah.
We just have, even if something happens a little bit with the economy, we have so many people moving in, it's going to drive our market and drive the prices up even more, in my opinion.
Well, Joe's been going, I know, he attends those planning commission hearings.
Regional problem solving.
All those
urban
all
growth
those things.
boundaries within the cities.
Is there new stuff coming out? Is there something that's coming out that's going to relieve some of the pressures that we see? Are you seeing any new developments that have come before the commission or not?
No, not enough to meet the projected demand. And Cheryl, one of the things that has come out of some of those meetings that was at, they're projecting our population to double by 2025, 2030. To me, that's just shocking. But they may be pretty close. I don't know where all those people are going to go. And you say these retirees now are moving in, which has always been kind of a cornerstone of our market. I wonder if we're going to have the opportunities available for other immigrants to make it to the Rogue Valley because...
What do you say?
Are we going to have enough homes? How are we going to meet these projected growth figures with the lack of housing and the rental shortages?
Well, you're not going to get them if there's no place to go, right? Where are you going to go?
Maybe we should... amend our projections a little bit. But they're talking about the population of the Rogue Valley to double within 20 years or 25 years. That's shocking.
Well,
Okay.
but I've been saying that a long time. I know.
I was going to say, I believe it. The amount of calls that I get from people out of the area, they hear about Medford. I came from Los Angeles, and I'd never heard of Medford, Oregon, or what it had, and I came here and just fell in love with it. From the big city, it's got a lot of good features, to become acclimated pretty quickly to it. The trouble is people move here and they don't leave. So there's not enough people leaving to create the turnover that we need. And, luckily this last year or so, there's been more new construction to help to accommodate that. But that needs to pick up.
Yeah, the Southern Oregon home builders tell us it's not going to keep up with the demands if the projections stay true. But they're trying to build their labor force and do all those things to meet that demand. It's a big challenge.
Well, but what's it going to do? It's going to keep this market as a robust market because those inventory is going to continue to be down.
It is, yeah.
And that means sellers have the advantage in terms of negotiating.
Supply and
with
demand.
Guy, what about new construction? Are you seeing any of that? Much of that?
Yeah, I have. It's funny. I was thinking about that a few minutes ago. One of my favorite borrowers, she got this little dog that fetches marbles, and I was over at her house while she was applying to buy a new construction. Brock Scott's over there building some nice stuff over there in Central Point and getting ready to close one for her. And yeah, I am seeing a few more of those. Not as many as I'd probably like to. I mean, I'm sure they're going to some other people. I don't have a ton of builder relationships, but we are seeing some new construction for sure.
Well, in 3 weeks, we're going to have So Ready, the Southern Oregon Regional Economic Development Association folks are going to be in here, and we're going to talk about jobs in the economy and real estate and how those interact because they're so important. With one without the other doesn't work. We certainly saw that during the recession and all those years that followed. I think there's no question about that. So, Cheryl, you think this is going to continue? This is going to be a busy month the next few months. I'm pretty excited about that. I think you're going to see in the statistics are going to prove that out, that we're coming on to a busy time. I've been looking at the MLS. Every day people are bringing stuff back on that was off over the winter. You're seeing that come on. Now's the time, and the sellers are going to, because of inventory. Remember, if you're in that, Joe, is it $50,000 to $150,000 price range, there's a 0.8 month supply, right? If you're in the 150 to 250, there's a 1 month supply. And if you're in 250 to 350, it's about a 1.4 month supply. And that's where the activity is taking place.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. And then people are coming up here trying to rent places. You can't get a rental now, and so it's just
See, that's the problem. We don't have enough rental properties. And what Cheryl says, is really is spiking out true. You're seeing the retiree portion of our valley. And they are definitely here. There's no question about that.
They're the folks that
the
can
ones
afford to
driving
move
this
here.
thing.
They don't need family wage jobs to exist here. And the opportunities are wide open for them. They come here with equity in hand and are set up beautifully to enjoy this beautiful area. And more people move here and tell their friends and tell their family about it. And more people move after that, and it's going to fuel a lot of growth. That market 150 range just did a property CMA for 4th Street in Medford, West Medford, and there were 4 properties that were pending. They were pending for 11, 12, 17, and 41 days. So that tells you how quickly they came on the market and how quickly they were in contract.
Well, I've been showing in East Medford in that 250 range, and let me tell you, they're going so fast. You're right. It's 3 days. It's 4 days. So you got to be really ready, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
People have to be ready because you're going to lose them, and that's the thing that I have great fear that these are really disappearing pretty fast off the market.
right.
Less than 30 days.
Sure.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I was going to say that we're getting some people coming over from the coast and different areas just for our health care. So all the retiring people coming here is creating a demand for better health care. So we're getting better, doctors and facilities and things like that, which is attracting people as well. So it's a good thing for our whole community.
Yeah,
That's our area shaping itself to meet the needs of the population that's going to be there.
We also see a lot of, we don't talk much about the seniors who are retiring out of their home, and where are they going? You know that? I mean, we've talked with Sharon Johnson over, aging in place. There's only very limited aging in place, isn't it? I mean, it's very limited what can be done. We're seeing those people are going into the senior apartment places, selling their properties, and who's buying them, and they replace them. It's really quite, and there's so much of it going on.
Twin Creeks and Central Point, a great example of where you can move in there, and then 15, 20 years later, you can move into the care facility that's
15,
right there.
20 years. That's optimistic. That's really good. 15, 20 years.
That's
there.
about when I'm going to retire, in 15, 20, 25 years.
Well, I think the bottom line here, I guess, is Guy and Cheryl, is that things are moving, things are happening. You have to be ready, and loans are no problem. I mean, if you're a good credit guy, everything is pretty good.
Even if you're a decent credit guy, I mean, things have loosened up a little bit. We're not quite as tight. I mean, I'm sure the borrowers don't feel like that in the middle of the transaction because we're still documenting everything, but they're not as strict as they were. So, like Joe was talking about a few minutes ago about things just. It's been the same market since he's been in it. I was kind of the same thing. I got in 2005, didn't realize how good I had it for the first 2 years, and then it just got tougher and tougher and tougher, and then all the new government regulations and everything put on it. But we are definitely writing loans. If you should get a home loan, you can get one these days. So that's the way it should be.
Yeah, well, that's good.
The way we can all sleep at night.
Are we forcing out the first time buyers, Cheryl? That's a good question. Or renters who want to come and buy, is the market going to shut them out because it's so busy right now, or are those people in trouble?
Yeah, we get lots of buyers who are first-time buyers, and they just can't really seem to find anything in their price range. So
they can't find anything to rent in their price range either. Well, that's the other piece.
We know they can't find rentals, 3 and 2s. Geez, I see some of the rental prices people want to get on houses is astounding.
And you think some of the experts on our panel that have come through that 2 and 3 years ago were saying, you first-time home buyers, the prices are within your range, the interest rates, it's the time now, and if they didn't hear that, it's just so much tougher now to get in that game. It's just a bigger hill to climb.
And we have to remember that if you're out there in the buyer category, you have to be ready day one, and that's kind of the big thing I know that around our office at John L. Scott is you've got to be ready day one before you start looking, or you're going to lose something because there's so much. The demand is outstripping the supply. That's pretty easy to say.
Yeah, the other part about getting ready is just making sure that you're in the price range you want to be in, because there's probably nothing worse than the feeling of going out and finding some $500,000 house, and then you walk in to get pre-qualified and realize that the taxes on that were more than you wanted to pay for your payment.
Yeah, that would be a detriment to the thing. Well, when you're out buying, one of the things that you go in transaction, Joe, is a house inspection. I mean, I think every one I've ever done, we've always had a house inspection. You know, I mean, buyers do have the option of not doing it, right? I mean, they don't have to, but I've always, you want to have a house inspection, right?
You want to know you're going to buy a house that's sound and it's going to be a good investment, but there are some values and there are some benefits to the home inspection of how your systems and things function, how they operate, how you take care of them and maintain them. Your home inspector could turn out to be a great ally going forward in the maintenance and upkeep of your home.
I've heard agents say, I don't want to use a certain inspector because they call them deal killers because they're so thorough. I said, wouldn't you want that for my buyer? Wouldn't I want a thorough inspection? I want to know that stuff. Anyway, Mike Fowler.
Need to learn more about that.
Yeah, Mike Fowler is here with us, and after this break, we're going to get the inside of home inspections, the do's and don'ts, what you need to know, because if you're not smart as a seller, they kill your deal as well. Anyway, the Real Estate Show rolls on here on KMED. We're coming right back right after this. The Real Estate Show rolls on here on KMED on February 27th. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett, the Real Estate Guys, with you here today. And thanks for being with us. We're hearing all sorts of good news regarding mortgage interest rates from Guy Giles, our mortgage expert today. Those, say, mid-threes for 30-year mortgages, low threes for things down there in the VA and USDA range.
I don't want to talk about it.
You don't want to talk about that?
I'm a little higher than that.
Yeah, you are a little bit, aren't you?
It's good news for our listeners.
No, I don't like getting close to those now on the other side of those variable rate loans, which you can't get out
You've
of.
done okay with yours, though.
I have. I actually have. It's been 11, almost 12,
one of the exceptions.
Almost 12 years of that. Well, wasn't I lucky? Anyway, today here on the show, we're catching you up on what kind of things about home inspections here in this part of the show. Michael Fowler is here from Functional Photo, right? Is the name of the inspector. You're a house inspector, right?
Yes, I am.
Nice to have you here. Tell me, you've been doing that how long in house inspection world?
I've actually been doing full home house inspections since 2005. Before that, we did basically just WDO inspections, and then I was a contractor since 1978.
You're like one of those skilled workers that we lack in the Valley, right? I mean, that's what you have skills. You can do those kind of things.
Over 30 plus years in the trades, and I can fix just about anything. So.
Yeah.
Is this your first time on the radio since Talent Junior High?
Yeah, it is.
Is it really? No, it shouldn't have been.
Yeah, it is.
You got game.
Yeah. That's been a while ago. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're talking to Cheryl. Cheryl Malone is here also from Windermere, a real estate broker here today. And home inspections, I think, are. I mean, when we got in the business, there's just something you need to do. You need to learn about them, don't you, Cheryl, as a broker and as buyers and sellers too.
Oh, absolutely. We always recommend that they get a full house home inspection, and he goes up on the roof, up in the attic, underneath the house, and sees all the things that the homeowner doesn't know about or can't know about, and gives them a full report. So it's just a good way to know exactly what you're buying and whether you're getting any issues that you want to deal with or you don't.
Yeah, and again, I like them when they're thorough and they show me everything, because the buyer then can determine what they want to do with that, or maybe not today, but maybe in the future if you have a guide to tell you what your property is like. Home inspections, what are the things you actually look at and do, Mike, that
all home inspectors in the state of Oregon are required by state law to do a certain set of things called the Oregon Standards of Practice and Behavior. That tells us exactly what we will inspect, what we won't inspect, how and how we will not inspect it, and when we will not inspect it, such as air conditioners and heat pumps. We're not allowed to do anything with those when the temperature's not within range. So because of that, most home inspectors all inspect these items. It's pretty much the end report is what you're paying for, and the quality of that report. Some inspectors will just give you a single page. Most of us will take and, we'll give you a more thorough report. And that's going to cover your roofing, your exterior cladding, which is your exterior siding and components of that, as well as interior components, built-in appliances, plumbing, electrical, HVAC or heating and air conditioning, as well as other auxiliary structures on the property. Or, some inspectors won't inspect things, others will, just gets level of service you're going to get.
And there's some price tags and some of the things that you can find, say, in a roof or a substructure of a roof, in the foundation of the home. We're talking about some significant, maybe tens of thousands of dollars implications in the purchase of a home.
Absolutely.
That's the high end, and the big end. But You find everything in between that as well. But those are really it makes it a small price to pay for that thorough inspection.
Well, exactly, because with a home inspection, you got to remember, it doesn't matter if you're paying $100,000 for the home or if you're paying $300,000 or $500,000 for the home. That home inspection's, just not even, less than 1% of the cost of that home, and it's going to give you a myriad amount of information that's going to take and be vital to the home ownership, the homeowner, and going forward in the life expectancy of that home and the components within it. If you were going to go buy a new car, you want to have somebody there that knows about cars. You just don't go buy a car. The same thing with a home. Even with a new home, I recommend home inspections. You'd be amazed at the things I find in new homes that get overlooked by, not only the contractors, but maybe code enforcement when they go out to final homes. So
you mean they miss things?
They do miss things.
Really?
Yes, they absolutely do. So, and it's vital to take and know that, because with a new home, you got usually a 1-year warranty from the contractor.
Yeah.
So that's good. And it's great also with a home inspection, because if you're buying a home warranty without a home inspection and you say, okay, you call that home warranty place and your air conditioner quits, let's say, and they go, okay, well, how do we know it worked when you bought the home? Well, you don't got anything to stand on pretty much. But if you have a home inspection in your hand that said, hey, this AC unit worked, okay, here's the inspector's report, it's real easy to justify that to the home warranty company then. So,
wow.
And on systems like that, I always recommend, like with plumbing and electrical and some of the, engineered type components within the home, you can go down to any of our local stores, Grover's, Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever, and stand around long enough, and some old guy like me will come along and say, oh, yeah, hey, you trying to fix that? Let me give you a hand, and I'll show you what you need, because we'd love to have our brains picked, But when your HVAC goes out, you're done. You're calling an HVAC company.
Yeah. What are the biggest, what are the most common things you see when you do home inspections, or the problems that you find that occur in Jackson County?
Well, it really depends on where you're at. When you're in the rural properties, it tends to be, you see a lot of what I call Harvey the homeowner.
Harvey the homeowner.
Yeah, Harvey the homeowner.
Yeah, I like that name. Yeah.
He loves to work on electrical items and plumbing items, and sometimes Harvey doesn't do things quite up to snuff. So,
Harvey's not read the code or been exposed to the codes.
And what do you do when you're the buyer now, getting the inspector comes in? Because haven't we all gone into places that it's just the way you describe it. It's not right. But what do you do?
And anybody can tell you it's not right.
I can even tell you it's not right. Yeah.
Harvey's been here.
Yeah. So basically, you just got to tell the buyer, you got to assess what comfort level they're willing to do repairs on their own property. If they're buying a ranch property and this guy's wearing a 3-piece suit, not to say there's nothing wrong with that, right. And that guy might have been born and raised on a farm. But if his skill set doesn't provide him with the abilities to fix this kind of stuff and build on this kind of stuff, it's going to be more of a challenge for him. So I'm going to, probably leave him with a list of some of my more favorite contractors that will provide him with the skill set he needs.
Hey, I got to bring up one thing. Marty Robbins, the man in the Continental suit. Listen to that song. That's anyway.
Yeah. So, but anyway, when they take and they, when we see those things, we just need to find out what their skill set comfort is. It's like, okay, you and I can both see there's some electrical issues here. How do you feel about that? And if they're comfortable with that, he goes, oh yeah, I can handle this and everything. So I probe a little deeper and make sure he's going to do these things and fix these things in the proper way without trying to offend him, and make sure that he's going to be okay with that. And I offer forever follow-up in my company. So, so
you follow up on the reinspection after
not necessarily reinspection, but if my customers ever have questions on how to do something or how to proceed with a project later on, or even just want me to evaluate a contractor's estimate they're getting, I offer that service free to them. And so they can take and give me a call, and like I tell them, put the coffee pot on, and I'll come by. So
one of the things that in my world of trying to sell my house eventually here, I just spent a whole bunch of found elite maintenance. Remember those guys who were with us before? Because I know if I sell my house, if I go through it, I can see all the things that I know if I can see them that the house inspector is going to see. And so I'm trying to take care of those things before the house inspector comes.
And Cheryl's going to come and ask you to fix all that for the buyer before they consummate
So I
the deal.
decided I'm fixing it. I know it. I can see it all. I'm going to get it fixed beforehand. That's a smart thing for a seller to do,
Absolutely. We do quite a few seller inspections every year. That's great for sellers due to the fact that then they can be kind of loaded. And to be honest, when we do a seller's report, we're actually a lot more rough on the house. We have to be, because the last thing I want to do is provide the seller with a seller's report and then have one of my colleagues come in, which I enjoy working with all the colleagues here in the Valley, and have one of them go, I can't believe Mike missed this.
You missed it.
So, I mean, I've got to tear this place apart. And I usually spend a whole day at a house on a seller's inspection, or at least a good portion of it, 4 to 6 hours, because I want to make sure that they get the best that they can get.
And inspectors, they give you the report that night. I mean, they do it in the morning.
Well, usually within 24 to 48 hours.
So a lot of times it comes back pretty darn fast, which is really good.
Let us have a little bit of a life.
Okay,
Put a few captions on the photos.
We're talking with Mike Fowler here, Cheryl Malone, Guy Giles here on the Real Estate Show. One more segment to go here today. We're coming right back. We're talking home inspections, the market, and mortgage rates. Here at the Real Estate Show continues here on KMED. This February 27th. Next week here on the show, it'll be a John L. Scott Market Watch show. Trevor Bushy and Gina Boucher. Actually, the Bouchers will be here, Joe. They'll be the first husband and wife brokers team that we're going to have on this show. And that in itself opens up a whole lot of questions, doesn't it? The husband and wife. To do that. They'll be next week, 2 weeks from today. We'll be talking with the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors and part of the Wine and Cheese event coming up on March the 31st. And then March the 19th, we'll have that show with So Ready about jobs and real estate and the economy and how all of those things tie together. I went to that Southern Oregon Business Conference that they had a few weeks ago, and I was amazed at how many people there are, entrepreneurs who are out there in our valley who we don't even hear about some of these businesses and the things they do, the people they employ. That's what drives an economy. That's what sells houses and gets new developments going, is things like that. So are we lacking behind? I don't know. We're going to find out. That'll be in 3 weeks. We also have a TV show coming up on the RVTV cable channels and the Action Home Net on March the 8th at 6 p.m. So we invite you to join us there, right? A lot of stuff, a lot of things going on.
Got things pretty well organized as the executive producer.
Yeah, Michael Fowler is here today with us from Functional Photo. Michael is a home inspector. We're talking about home inspections. Cheryl Malone from Windermere is here as well. Guy Giles, hiding out, our mortgage lending expert, is here with us in the studio as well. We've got a big party going on here today at KMED. Well, before we get off the home inspection things, I got to ask you, Michael, we've had quite a year, as you can imagine, regarding recreational marijuana and all the things that's related to real estate and rentals and the things. As a home inspector, do you see, tell me what your experience has been in terms of homes you've seen, whether they're recreational grows or meth grows or meth places, or tell me what you see there.
Well, I do see a lot of people that I work for that are coming to the Valley, potential clients and stuff that I call, and they're wanting to, they always ask the kind of absurd questions like, well, do you think this soil would be good for growing? I'm thinking about doing some farming, and they don't just come right out and say it. I think it's so hilarious. And so I'm
not growing beets.
I mean, I just call them on it. I go, let's just get it right on the table, start with, I really don't have anything against it as long as they're being responsible and taken and not intruding into someone else's situation. The biggest problem we have is come fall when it's harvest time, and the odor can be quite offensive to a lot of people. And so, a lot of people buying homes this time of year, they don't really realize it. And I was just in Central Point here a few weeks ago, and a couple was going to buy a home. I did the home inspection for them, and I asked them straight out, I go, do you find the odor of marijuana offensive? And they didn't, and which was good, because if you looked over the fence right next door in a subdivision lot, there was probably like 30 large plants that were there.
Well, Joe's attended hearings on those things all around our valley.
Great of you to catch that, though. Holy smoke, because
Well, yeah, because they would be in this home, and then all of a sudden they walk out and dinner party and September, and it's like.
But do you see damaged real estate though as a result of all this activity?
Absolutely. There's been certain times when when people do inside grow rooms and stuff, they basically will strip the room down, put foiling on it. if we're looking at an REO, more than likely we'll see rooms like that. Lots of electrical plugs, a lot of really crazy electrical that's been done.
Yeah.
That's not to code. So that really presents a lot of challenges to the new homeowner.
And the homeowner is going to be responsible for
Absolutely
this.
going forward, and anything that could be residue or transmitted onward in that home, even buying it or selling it later on. So, and meth basically
destroys a home.
Oh yeah, if it's a meth home, it's probably on an actual list the state has, and the house basically has to be taken down to the studs to make it salvageable at that point.
You've seen that too, Cheryl, haven't you? You've seen this all around. I mean, it's here.
I haven't come across it too much myself.
Yeah,
so.
well, I mean, but it's out there. We see it and we hear about it. And and again, the owners of these properties, don't let that happen to your property. Isn't that? Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah.
But it seems like it does. Well, that's interesting.
That's why we talk to property managers.
Yeah, well, home.
A lot.
Well, so home inspections, you're pretty busy. Tell us about that. The business part of it. Are you?
The business part of it's nuts. We're booking anywhere from probably, I would say, at least 7 to 10 working days out.
Almost 2 weeks out.
Almost 2 weeks out. And it's going to get nothing but worse. And I see a lot of people wanting to push through offers, and they call me and they go, hey, I'm writing an offer right now. Because I work with right now approximately about 173 different agents at one time or another in my book of business. So some I work with every week.
Sure.
Some of them I work with just maybe once a year. But they'll call me up and they'll go, how many days should I write this offer for? And I tell all of them, you should put 15 working days in there.
So that's
for the inspection period.
For the inspection period, if you want to have an inspection. If not, you're going to run into things. And with well water, if you need, well water pulled early, then pull it early because you've got 5 to 7 days just to get the results back from the lab on that. So that's something some people don't think, oh, well, I've got 1 day left. Well, we pull the well water that day and, 7 days out is when you're going to get the results.
Well, I had to do an extension because for that very issue. We didn't get it. It just took longer to get. It took 2 weeks to get the house inspector there, and the appraiser has been slow, and so
appraiser's been busy, very busy. Yeah.
So those push dates.
And there's
of
fewer
closings
appraisers than there are home inspectors. So that's another standpoint. That's going to even get more difficult too as we go forward into the spring buying season.
Yeah. And do you recommend people, if they have questions, should have a home inspection before they put their house on the market? Is that a smart thing to do for some people?
Absolutely.
You know what's there.
Yeah,
at that
exactly.
point.
Yeah. Even just having a good contractor friend that come along and just give it a good look over. It doesn't have to be a home inspector. Somebody that's going to give you a bid to take and provide you a repair bid.
All right.
That's really important because you can save yourself a lot of money and headaches.
Yeah, true. Well, guess
Getting
what?
in the middle of the deal.
We're out of time. We're going to be up against out of here. How can someone get a hold of you, Mike, if they want from your inspections? I know you also do well flow tests and those kind of things. So it's kind of like 2 birds with 1 stone there.
We also do mold testing and a few other things.
Mold testing, okay.
And we do have tools that we can get into challenge crawl space areas.
Right.
And,
better you than me on that one.
The crawl space. How can they find you?
541-821-1225 is our phone number. And you can also reach me by text on that number. All
right.
Yeah, give me a call.
Functional photo. Mike Fowler, thanks for coming in. Cheryl,
thanks, Pete.
It's going to be busy. We're going to talk to you again in a few months, and we'll see what's going to see if March, April, and May are as busy as we think it's going to be.
I hope so.
We'll see if you have time to stop by.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. And Guy Giles is going to be down there giving those mortgages out, and he's been busy as well. And it's good to hear those rates remain where they are, and you can catch just Google Guy Giles is the best way to get a hold of him, and he can help you out as well there. So I guess that's going to be it. So we'll see what happens. I'm pretty excited about the next few months. I think it's going to be a supply and demand is works. And I think there's a lot of inventory that's going to come back on that has been holding off until the spring now, which is just about here.
Nice those sellers have some options and some opportunities out there that haven't been there for a while.
Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you next Saturday here on KMED. God bless everybody. Have a great week.
You've been listening to The Real Estate Show on KMED AM and FM radio, presented by John L. Scott Real Estate of Southern Oregon, along with All Cities Property Management, the Home Builders Association of Jackson County, Ditech Mortgage, the Jackson Soil and Water Conservation District, and the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. For guest information or to watch a past show, visit us online at realestateshoworegon.com. Join us again next weekend for Southern Oregon's one and only Real Estate Show on KMED.